Hey boys, welcome back to the channel, and it's going to be a little real life cricket discussion. Obviously, the cricket season is fast approaching, and as the title will suggest, it's going to be a little discussion about the Australian test squad that has just been announced. And honestly, my first initial thoughts was I was pretty happy with the squad that got selected, and we'll go through it here. I'll talk a bit about it, but yeah, for the channel, I probably will start doing a few more like real life cricket discussions. I know I was trying to do more with like the rugby league stuff. I did a few of them. I'm not promising, but hopefully next year I can be a little bit more consistent with some more real life discussions. But yeah, let's go through the squad here. So starting off with the captain, Tim Payne. I know a lot of people do think that we should be moving on from Tim Payne, and there are there's plenty of good young keeper batsmen coming through. I mean, probably I would say at the top of the pecking order has been Alex Carey, but honestly, Carey in internationals hasn't quite gone on with it like people thought he would. I still think probably Carey is the man to replace Tim Payne at some point. But I think against India, it's probably a pretty good idea. Not a good idea, but it is a good idea. I think it is a pretty good idea to have Tim Payne sort of regain the captaincy. He's been a great captain for a number of seasons now. Through the tough times, and now sort of out through things starting to turn around again. I think Payne has sort of carried the team very well. His batting, he gets criticised for his batting, but honestly, I mean, he's still, I don't know what his average is now, but it's still like mid-30s and above. I mean, it's not bad. It's honestly not bad. He's not as flashy, he's not as explosive as he used to be, and he's not as flashy as other keeper batsmen, but he still does the job. He can still dig in, he can still play a great innings, and I mean, as a keeper, he's still probably the best keeper going around in Australia. There's probably a couple of, Josh Inglis and Josh Philippe, they look very sharp behind the stumps, but I think Tim Payne deserves the spot. I think Tim Payne, he deserves to go out on his terms. Like, he hasn't done anything wrong to be dropped. I think he should get the chance to sort of retire from internationals. Then Sean Abbott. Now, I've been a harsh judge of Sean Abbott for a long time. I've always thought he was overrated. I've just never really rated Sean Abbott, but he, in the shorter formats, he just always gets wickets, even though I'm always like, how is he getting so many wickets? And honestly, in the first class arena, he's really starting to improve his batting. I mean, he sort of had to be picked as a potential all-rounder. His form has been incredible. He's been scoring some huge runs, and I do feel, I think the runs have been a little bit accentuated with some good batting conditions. Pekovsky getting 2 double tons, Agar getting his ton, Mitchell Starc almost got it. Like, so many players have been getting big, like not just hundreds, like big hundreds. And I think it's a little bit, I think you got to temper that a little bit. But Sean Abbott has been, he's been a consistent performer, and he's still very young. So honestly, I'll give Sean Abbott a chance. I'll rescind my my earlier maybe harsh criticism of Abbott, and I think he does deserve to get his shot. Whether or not he actually comes into that starting 11, I don't know. I'm not too sure how they will line up with the 11, but having him as a decent backup, I think is pretty solid. Then you got Pat Cummins. I mean, he picks himself. Not too much to say about Paddy Cummins. He's still the number 1 test bowler in the world. I'm sure some people from other countries will argue one of their bowlers is better, but I mean, Cummins just does it all over the world. He's just incredible player. Cameron Green, he's another guy that I guess he's being picked, I guess, as a batter because he is back to bowling, isn't he? But he's been scoring some big runs. He's looked very, very solid. But he's a future all rounder. I mean, I've mentioned this before. I think I mentioned in like a career mode video. But Cameron Green, there's a lot of players that come through the lower grades and whatnot. They get talked up as being the next superstar. But you look at Cameron Green and you just sort of you can't help but feel that way about him. Like you just know that he is going to be a player for Australia. He looks like an incredible talent, and I mean he's been hindered with back injury, so he hasn't been able to pursue his bowling. But I think it's a great time to sort of expose him to the squad. Again, whether or not he'll get a game, I sort of doubt it. But, I think he's definitely one for the future. Josh Hazlewood picks himself again. Just, does the job. Our bowlers are very, very set. So it's tough to be like sort of an up-and-coming bowler because we've got very, very good bowlers and they're also not that old. So it's a little bit tough. But, Josh Hazlewood just does the job. Travis Head regains his spot, which he's done an okay job. Travis Head is the guy that's in danger, right? Because you got Sean Abbott, you got Cameron Green, and there's a couple other guys we'll talk about later. But Travis Head is the guy that's under real pressure because if he doesn't perform, and also one other guy here we'll mention, but if he doesn't perform, then there's no real reason to keep him in because he's there as a batsman. He can bowl a few, he can bowl a couple overs, but I wouldn't be relying on his little half-baked offies too much. So Travis Head, he's a solid player, but he is a guy that loves to get those 30s, 40s, looks very solid, and then just gets out. So he really needs to start converting those decent starts into big ones. Otherwise, the couple of these youngsters are going to take his spot. And I got to be honest, I do feel that his worth is a little bit... I don't know. I do feel like they could strengthen that team without Travis Head. But, it depends. The form is a massive thing. Marnus Labuschagne obviously picks himself. It is funny. Labuschagne started the Shield season on fire again, and then all of a sudden he's had a couple of low scores, and you read that. I don't know why I do it, dude, but I read the Twitter comments just for, just to see the absolute nonsense and just to laugh at idiots. But there was quite a few comments, people being like, Labuschagne, he's no good. I'm just like, this is cricket. It's cricket. It doesn't matter how good a player is. They're going to get low scores. Like, people flip. Sport, and this is sports in general, dude. People flip so quickly on a player if they have a bit of a bad run, or it wasn't even a bad run. It was like a couple of low scores. He got out LB a couple of times, so people are carrying on like, well, they found him out. He's never going to score a run again, dude. Oh, I just laugh every time. But yeah, obviously picks himself. Nathan Lyon, picks himself. I was going to say he's under a little bit of pressure, but really, not really. I mean, Lyon is he's exceeded people's expectations. He just goes from strength to strength. But there's one guy in particular who is knocking the door down, just been incredible, who is, it's sort of tough to leave him out, but, Lyon's not going to be dropped, so, it is what it is. Michael Neser gets into the squad again, which I'm very happy about. I mean, Neser is sort of, he's one of the most unlucky cricketers, dude. Like, his figures in Shield cricket as a bowler are just incredible. And then he's also got that all-round ability. He was another guy that got he got a ton the other match. He's very honestly, if I'm being honest, like him and Sean Abbott, very similar. I would say they both are better bowlers and batters. And I think Nisa is a better bowler. Sean Abbott may be a better batter, but not by much. I actually, in all honesty, I do think Nisa is a better all-round option than Sean Abbott. But Nisa obviously he's not old, but he's probably, he is a few years older than Sean Abbott for the future. But yeah, Nisa, I don't know. He probably he's probably not going to get a spot, but geez, he's he's just a hardworking, Queensland cricketer. So I love him, dude, but he probably won't crack the 11 unless, Australia go with the rotation policy. And well, actually, that's the thing, because the middle order, we'll talk about him now. He's a bit down the list, but Maddie Wade is sort of the other guy I was going to mention with Travis Head, who are under pressure, because obviously those two guys for a while there, they were in the middle order. And, Maddie Wade he was in sensational form. He picked himself, but at the same time, he deserved to get selected again. But are there better options? I do think there are, because him and Travis Head, you can't really rely on them, I feel, in the test match arena. Like, if Australia have their usual collapse, which they are known to do, I just feel like having a Travis Head and Matthew Wade in the middle order, it doesn't really instill that much confidence. But if you go with one of those guys and a Sean Abbott or a Michael Nisa, again, it doesn't strengthen the batting, but it just gives you another option with the ball, and they can score. They can score quickly, and they can also score good runs. So, yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how their 11 line up. James Pattinson gets back into the squad. Great to see Pattinson back into the fray. He's obviously suffered some serious injuries, which unfortunately, a lot of young pace bowlers do. And I feel like, he's started to regain his spark, but I feel Pattinson's unlucky as well, dude. I think he's missed his moment. When he first came in, he was an absolute monster. The pace, bit of swing, the accuracy, the aggression. He cracked it, dude. And then the injuries, he had to change up his bowling action. He suffered a little bit of lack of pace at times. He's regained the pace now, but he sort of missed out on his chance, because now it's like Hazelwood, Cummins, Stark, and Lyon. So where does Pattinson fit in? It's not easy, and I feel like, maybe like Stark can be a little bit out of form at times, but I think you need Stark in the team because he just provides that real difference. So, if you're going to go with the all-out aggression of Pattinson or Stark, I feel like you would go with Stark every day of the week there. So Pattinson, it's good to see him back, but I just can't see him cracking the team again unless they start going back to the rotation policy. The next guy here, Will Pucovski. So, again, he demanded selection. 2 double tons, just on fire. Again, that the pitches have been very batter friendly. Probably hasn't been up against the best bowling attacks, but that's the thing. You can only bat against what you face, and he scored not just one big ton. He scored 2 double tons. Like, it's very impressive, and is Joe Burns, are they going to stick with Burns for the opening spot for now? Or will they chuck Pucovski straight in? I actually feel like, with everything that happened to Pucovski and his mental health and whatnot, I do think that they should just give him time. I know the inkling is to rush him back. He's in great form. Try to utilize the form now, but test matches are a different beast. It's up against India. It's going to be a tough series. I feel like Joe Burns, he's been there before. He hasn't been in the runs and shield, but he's performed very well for Australia. I feel like he's been very unlucky at times to be dropped. I think Burns deserves the opening spot for now. Pucovski can get a taste of the squad, and he'll be there for sure at some point. I do think he'll be an opener in in place of Burns. But I think, I don't know, for this series, I would like them to, I would like to see Burns get the nod. But yeah, I won't be disappointed if Pekoski gets that spot. I mean, he's you can't do much more to get a test berth, but yeah, we'll see. Either way, I'll be happy with either way. I don't know. I sort of feel like have the experience of Burns for now, and let Pekoski get used to it, because with what happened the other time he was in around the atmosphere of it, obviously. Things went wrong, so maybe just give him a little bit of a time to settle. Steve Smith picks himself. Mitchell Stark. Again, I mentioned him with the Pattinson debate. I mean, Stark is a guy that he can go in and out of form, but I think Stark has to be there. Without Stark, he can have... He's very similar to Mitch Johnson in a way. Like, Johnson could have bad spells, and then he'd come back before lunch, pick up 2 or 3 quick wickets, and then all of a sudden, game on. So, Stark has to be there. Mitch Swepson, he's the guy... I don't know did I mention him? No, I just said that there was a guy here that was knocking down the door, and it's Swepson. I mean, his form... Jeez. And just watching him bowl, dude, he is... absolutely landing them. He is bowling as good as you'll ever see a spinner bowl. And that's the thing as well, like he's been getting huge spin, great variation on pitches that aren't really spin friendly. Like they're not absolute roads, but he's been getting it to rip on pitches that aren't they're not like dusty Indian subcontinent conditions. Like he is just on fire. Maddie Wade, we mentioned, and then David Warner. I personally don't particularly like Warner, but he picks himself, so there's not too much more to talk about. So, yeah, I'm excited for the series. I'll probably make another video sort of discussing the matchups and whatnot, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this real-life discussion. Let me know if there's any omissions here that you noticed or anyone in particular. But, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.